Byrne. I'm the vice president. I'm the senior operations manager in the New York office. And I want to tell you my story or Turner's story with veterans and the path that I took and the lessons learned. And there's major lessons learned that I did. So 7, 8 years ago, we realized what Bob and Tom are talking about, that we wanted to increase or tap this great resource called veterans. And, between Iraq and Afghanistan and all these places, the government spending millions of dollars on training, teaching leadership and all this other stuff, and Army Corps of Engineers, all the skills we're getting. We could get these people, men and women that could come make Turner a better place and continue. I like to brag, Turner is the #1 general contractor in the United States. And we like to continue that, right? In healthcare and general construction and sports, there's a lot of categories. Anyway, so I said to myself, and when I came out, we said, we want to increase the veterans hiring. I heard this, it was on an email or in something. And I said, I raised my hand. I said, I can do this. Let me help. So the first thing I did was I put out an email to all the people that I knew were veterans. I said, next week at this time, we're going to meet in the conference room, this, that, and the other thing. I sent out like 30 emails and 3 people showed up. Oh, maybe they didn't read the email. Maybe, usually when I send out an email for a meeting, people show up, because I do the hiring and firing, you know what I mean? So, they usually show up and pay attention to me, right? So I said, what's going on? I don't understand this, So mental note, I put it on the side and I said, you know what? And I start going around. I get CNC department comes to me and I have this great idea how we're going to increase veteran hiring. We're going to go to all these schools that honor the GI Bill. Go to all these schools that honor the GI Bill. I use Peter Darvin's boardroom. I have like a light cocktail party kind of thing. Invite all these students and people. We broadcast it all over the place in New York City and all these colleges and different places and recruiting centers. I get a big showing. I have HR in the room with tablets. And I have, I do a PowerPoint on Turner and all this other stuff. And we were scooping up tons of skilled veterans. And then as fast as I was hiring them, as fast they were going out the door. And I couldn't, for the life of me, what's going on? And we can't retain them, this, that, and the other thing. And this was the #1 lesson learned. #1 lesson learned is I did this recruiting twice a year in Peter's boardroom, and it was very, the second session I did, I met this fine young man, and he filled out the application. I hired him, and I put him on. I don't go to all the jobs, but I put him on one of my jobs that I go to twice a week. And he goes there, and he's what we call level 2, assistant engineer, and he's sitting between 2 level 3 engineers in this Brookfield, this big development we got going on. And I'd fly in and fly out every Tuesday and every Thursday. And he turns out to be the best at engineering, paperwork, field logistics, plans, schedules. He's doing the work, this level 2, more than the 2 level 3s combined. And I'd whiz past his desk, good morning, goodbye, good night, whatever. One day, there was Thomas. One day, Thomas, I come flying in and he says, Joe, you got a minute? And if you're ever a supervisor or a boss, that means not good stuff, right? Joe, you got a minute? I said, yeah, Thomas, of course. He hands me an envelope. This is my 2-week resignation. Oh my God, 2 weeks resignation. No, Joe, everything Turner, I love Turner, but I'm gonna, he goes to me, now that we've had the baby, my wife felt that the 2.5-hour commute each way to work was a little bit too much. I go, 2.5-hour commute? Where do you live? And he says, I live in blah, 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 Connecticut. I say, stay right there. I run out of the room. I call Vinny Bartoli. I said, Vinny, I have this all-star of all-stars. Would you take him? He goes, oh my God, we're building a new school. It's got to be 5 minutes from his house. I go back in and said, Thomas, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to put you to work immediately, same salary and everything. If not more, I'm going to promote you. I'm going to put you in the Connecticut office. At this job, it's right. You go, oh, wow, that's very close to my home. I says, yeah, no problem. Done deal. He goes, Joe, I'm sorry. I said, what are you sorry about? He goes, well, I'm a Marine. And I said, yeah, it's great. It's very honorable. Like, I was in the Navy. We used to give you a ride. This, not the other thing. And he said, no, Joe, you don't understand. The new employer, I gave him my word. And a Marine, his word is everything. And therefore, I apologize, but you must accept this resignation. And it's on, now, who's to blame? Me, because it was on my watch. I said to the two fellows next to him, I said, did you ever talk to him? They said, well, he's quiet, so we really didn't ask. And I realized I was gonna, at first I wanted to blame the two that sit next to him. And I said, they're not to blame. I'm to blame, because I didn't ask what's going on at home. I didn't dig in a little bit. And if you know a military person, sometimes they're introverts on their personal lives or their military life, what they did. And that, Thomas, inspired me. Founders Day was coming up, and every year Founders Day, Turner was 119 years old. We go and we do outreach to communities, this and that. And I said, we're going to pick VA hospital in the Bronx, where I'm from, and where we're going to potentially build. Because one of Turner's themes is we build and we leave the community that we build in better than when we got there. That's one of our mantras, right? Bob and Tom. Yep. It's one of our mantras, right? So I said, what better than to go to the Kingsbridge VA hospital, and we'll use the Founders Day event. I'll get all these veterans and this and that, and get them in the bus and get them up there. So that first time I only got a turnout of 20. And I went to the VA hospital, and I was sideways. Why? I brought hamburgers and hot dogs. The head of the hospital, the coordinator that I dealt with, said, you want to. This is a hospital where the veterans live in. It's a housing hospital, right? And he said, you want to. I'll have everybody come down at 11. I brought a guy who plays the bagpipes. Went to Maritime College with me. We're gonna make hamburgers and hot dogs, put on a little show. And then he goes, "Oh, do you want to go up to the rooms? Because there's several they don't leave their room." So I took a couple of the gang with me, and we went to each one of the rooms. And Raymond, who's the coordinator for the hospital, said to me, Joe, this person, you're the first visitor they've had in years. I go, what? We put Turner hats and things and Turner blanket and, Turner trinkets. And then we go to the next room. And he goes, this person, his daughter was here about a year ago. You're the second visitor this year. I'm like, what? And on. Some of them had visitors, some of them didn't. We go back to Turner World. We building our buildings. And I have this idea that around Veterans Week, because they got a lot going on the week of Veterans Week, we're going to go back and do the barbecue again, bring 2 bagpipers, and when I posted out that we were going back, I had 80 people wanting to go because they heard what we did. Now, the VA hospital had max of 40. So when I showed up with 62 people, we had to kind of, he let us in. And we come in and we really inspirational. I brought a general manager with me. So general manager is higher than I am. His name is Byrne. And I brought him and I made him come with me to the rooms because there's about 50 or so in there and about 12 of them are bedridden. They don't leave the room. And I brought Bert with me. And after the second one, Bert was blown away. I can't believe. Next time, how much more money you need? What do it was because you leave there, your lungs are filled. They're healing us. Instead of us going, we're trying to help their healing. They healed us and taught us. We go twice a year because it's a privilege, because they make you feel good. And what I do is I use that VA hospital to make the ERG group stronger. And they all pile on the bus, and everybody has to speak on the bus on the way from 375 Hudson Street in Manhattan to the Bronx. What's your passion while you were in veteran school? I was a Marine, I was this, my father was that, my aunt was this. And if I catch you talking with another third person, you're not going to be allowed on the trip because I have 50 people on standby that want to be on this bus. Then I take them all to a restaurant in Little Italy, Upper Avenue. It's famous if you know it. And the camaraderie and friends and the group had suddenly become like magnets to metal. Unbelievable. And I used that trip to make us stronger. And so then this young lady from corporate says to me, now she's in corporate, she says, Joe, Peter wants you to take this on the road. So I put together this packet of all this stuff we do, and I go to Boston. And I put all the veterans in Boston, and I say, who's in charge here? Now you're in charge. Here's some samples. We have a product directory of everybody in the veterans group. We have an org chart, just like it's like a company, an org chart. And in the product directory is like Jose, for example, he's an MEP manager. He's at this job and this is how many years with Turner. Now there's a new recruit that's a veteran, that's an assistant MEP, and maybe he's afraid to ask a question. Now he knows he can call Jose, who was an E3 just like him. Say, hey, Jose, by the way, I just started. I heard you were, what about this? What about that? And suddenly these things are clicking like machine gun fire. So then we take it to California, we take it to Colorado. I go here, I go there, I go everywhere with this road show to broadcast out the lessons. I'm only telling you a few of the lessons learned, but I made a mandate that you have to go to a VA hospital. So managing expectations is the lesson learned. And what am I saying? So-and-so was a leader of 250 soldiers. He meets all the qualifications. He was in the Army Corps of Engineers. He knows how to build. But when he comes to Turner, we have all these like joining the Navy or the Army or whatever. It's very similar to joining Turner. We have all our own systems and acronyms. And you need to tell them that you used to oversee 250 soldiers. When you come to us, you're going to oversee 2. Do you understand why? And that's the first question I ask. I said, because I can't put you in charge of a high rise that you've never done before, and you never used Turner Systems before, and you never worked in New York unions before, whatever, you get eaten alive. So managing the expectations, because if you put them in a position to fail, you hurt him or her, and you hurt Turner. So very upfront, you have to be very deliberate on telling them the position they're going into and what they're going to expect to see. And if they still nod their heads and they meet all that and they have all the good qualities, then you assign a veteran network buddy. And you put a buddy to them. We have this buddy system. We call it a peer. We use different words, a resource person. And the day they get hired, that resource person is put with them. And how do I marry them together? Navy to Navy, MEP to MEP, things like that they have one little similarity, but the person's more senior. It's got to be 5 years more. And then that they do the onboarding with HR in lieu of HR doing the cookie cutter, one size fits all onboarding. And if you do those 2 things, the success rate has changed. We were at 40%. Now we're at 85. We're not at 100 yet, Tom. We're at 85. We're measuring it. Went from 40 5-6 years ago. Now we're at 85. We're still at I want 100. I want 100. But we're not there yet, but we're getting there. We're learning. We're still learning. We're learning from the veterans we're hiring. Who knows better, right? So it definitely is a life lesson. It's rewarding. And everything I have is because of Turner. So just like our neighborhoods, I got to give back to Turner. And if the best way is hiring the best in the world, which are veterans, then that's what we're going to do. And we're going to make everybody work and make it right. So that's our goal.